All right, we're going to jump right into this Aaron Imholte garbage. Aaron, I guess, man, it's hard to blame the guy. I don't like him, obviously. He's a very, very unlikable guy. But that being the case, he got a little bit of attention. A little bit of attention when this whole Nick Rekieta thing happened, right? So Nick got arrested last May. And when he got arrested, right, Aaron Imholte started spilling all the secrets, right? Because he was disenfranchised by Nick because Nick was banging his wife, which is hilarious. He had to know, but he's like one of those guys where he's like, oh, well, she wouldn't do that. You know, he's one of those guys. Oh, she wouldn't do that, bro. She would never do such a thing. Even though I hear her in there moaning and I hear macaroni and cheese mixing noises, but it's fine. Definitely not happening. So he got to tell all the news and all the drama, okay, on Nick, and got a little bit of fame from it. I mean, I think he had 1,000 concurrent on 1 or 2 shows, and he got addicted to that. And here we are, 8 months later, and he's still doing it, boys. He's still doing it. And now he's saying that it's the entire reason that Nick, his entire life is failing is because he caused it. Macaroni mixing noises. I tell you what, bro.
Know what the gossip is, do you?
No, I don't. I pride myself on not knowing what the gossip is.
Because it happened after the evening show.
All right, so I definitely don't know the gossip.
So it's not in the prep sheets for today. But I have gossip. Does anyone in the chat know what the gossip is? It's so exciting. So 2024, God decided to give me his biggest struggles up front. They weren't. They were my struggles, Mein Kampf. I did it myself. But God decided to reward me the second half of the year by just intermittent felting of others. And
yeah, so here, what Aaron's talking about right here is he's loving this shit. And I get it. Look, I'm not a fan of Aaron. I am not a fan of Aaron, okay? But let me explain the actual thought process behind this, right? So he finds out, and I don't know how he didn't know, but he finds out Nick's been duking his chick, which makes him look like a dumbass. You know, it makes Nick look like a badass. And I've always held that opinion, right? Look, a lot of people try to lump me in with this kind of conservative, like ultra conservative religious movement, and I don't know why. I literally had a series called Tinder Stories, bro. So when you find out, like, Nick's been duking this like kind of hot girl that's married to this guy, and like he's getting felted, if you will. And I'll need you to explain that to me again, Art. You know, I'm like, oh, based. You know what I'm saying? Like me, based. You know what I'm saying? Like, who cares? Whatever. You know? And people are mad at me for that. They're like, he's married. I'm like, I'm not involved. I don't care. You know, based. What's up? Let's go. But when negative things starts happening to the ones that he perceives has wronged him, he enjoys it. And I get it, you know, because I have that small, you know, part of my life as well. And it's been over for a long time, you know. But that being said, you know, when my ex-wife left, I was jaded, you know, and no one was really at fault. It was just kind of like one of those things where we just split up, you know. But I was jaded because I didn't want it to happen. And then I started doing a lot better in life. You know what I'm saying? And that made me feel good because I was like, yeah, I'm winning against her. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying, right? That's why, yeah, he's definitely enjoying this. He's definitely enjoying this, right? Now, I got to say, I have no idea what's going on with April. I do know that April is out of the picture. April ain't hot. Look, April's not hot, but I'm not going to lie to you and say she couldn't get it. Like, come on. Okay? Come on. Quote that.
And this one isn't funny because I really hope that the innocent parties in all of it are okay. But as far as public like, I don't seek financial ruin for others, but public embarrassment is a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, it always is.
And
He's 100% lying. He wants Nick to lose everything. Sorry. Look, dude. Look. As a friend of Nick's, I've known him for 100 years, if and I'm not saying Nick, I'm saying like if somebody out there, started banging my wife, based, I want them to die. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it was me, I'd be like, yeah, I hope they get hit by a bus, right? So him saying, I don't wish financial ruin on anybody. Yeah, okay, doubt it. Doubt it. You're too proud. No way, bro. You want death. Death. That's how that works.
I don't know how else to say this. I don't want to tease it and do it later. Nick Rekieta's main home is in foreclosure.
That seems odd. Didn't he make like millions?
He made a lot of money.
He did not. So Nick made $1.2 million in super chats, which is a lot, but you have to decrease 30% to YouTube and also 60% to Apple users. So he probably brought around 600 grand in. His Rumble deal was likely around 400 grand. That's $1 million. Then you pay off any debts, right? And then you travel, and I mean, Nick, right? He's got a lot of whiskey that's like $500 a bottle. He's flying everywhere. He's living life of luxury, doing all these things, right? There's a good chance he spent half of that, right? And also taxes is a big deal. So there's that. So no, I mean, he doesn't have millions of dollars. So that's where Aaron's wrong here. And you would think he would know that, which is weird to me.
Foreclosure means the bank has been expecting you to pay for a while. And
Well, wait, hey, can you do me a favor?
Allegedly.
It's kind of like when you eat cuisine that's not for you, but the other person, it's their favorite cuisine and it's their favorite 5-star restaurant, and they kind of brought you along. Don't savor all the morsels right away. I want to slow walk you into a tasting menu if I could. See,
all right.
You're jumping way ahead of me. You're like, doesn't that mean the bank, is wanting it? Just wait. Just let me. You're going at a normal human being's pace. I would like to savor these morsels.
All right.
All right. I'm going to chew 36 times per bite. So go slow with me.
All right.
This is big. I go on Kiwi Farms after the evening show because I need to whack off.
See, this is why Aaron's not more popular, because he's not funny, man. What, man?
So I go on Kiwi Farms after the evening show, and I see that someone has posted. They're like, they wrote, did I find something? And they posted a foreclosure notice from the Wilmer paper. And it had Nick's main house listed as the foreclosed property. Someone responded on Kiwi Farms by saying, you didn't just find something, you found a goddamn gold mine. So it was the listing of the foreclosure of this is not the Silent Hill orange shower spare house. We're talking about the main residence. And he owes $307,000. And to your point about the reason why our foreclosure and how that works,
is because of he owes $307,000. Now, look, that might not be a big deal. I don't really know the financial situation. I know if that was me, I would be done. You know what I'd be? If I owed $307,000 into like a mortgage company or a bank, yeah, I would drive to the nearest cliff and I would just put it in D, and I'd be gone.
That means that for a year now, he has not been paying his mortgage payments. Once you don't pay for like 6 months or something like that, you're in default. When you don't pay for a year, you go into foreclosure. That means there have been warnings. That means that there have been notices sent in the mail or email or however you get your notifications, and they've just been ignored. $307,000. So now there is an auction scheduled, Johnny, to get back to where you were on this. There is an auction scheduled for August.
Okay.
And in in February, they have it.
So that's going to be very interesting. I don't think it's going to make it there. So this is my opinion, right? I don't think it's going to make it to an auction. Okay? I don't think it's going to make it to an auction. but it could. Maybe a sheriff's sale, then anyone can go buy his house for what the remainder of the mortgage is. Now, wouldn't that be wild if somebody on Kiwi Farms went and tried to buy his house during the auction? That's what I was thinking could happen. Like, wouldn't that be some fuckery? You know what I'm saying? That'd be wild.
I thought once you auctioned something, it's over.
Do the people who buy the house in February have until August to pay for it, or do they have until August?
Apparently, they have until August, the way I read it. They have until August to pay for it. Annoyed Wawa supervisor says, date and time of sale, February 4th, 2025 at 10 a.m. Place of sale, County Sheriff's Office in Wilmer.
That's exactly 1 month from today. Now, he says something very interesting. He said that they have until August, I guess, to pay it in full. So does anybody in chat really know, like Art, maybe Art knows. So if somebody buys it, that means he could buy it back if he pays by August? Art says it's called first rights of rescission. Nick has the opportunity to do everything before anyone else buys it. Okay, yeah, thank you. Squid says with a $10 super chat, it does not matter if somebody buys the house. Nick and Kayla have 6 months for redemption to pay off the mortgage and they get the house back. Government does not like taking property away, apparently. So, but they have to pay it in full is what you're saying, right? By August, that would be probably daunting, right?
He now owes $307,000. And someone's saying buying a house that someone else lives in. No. That is not the second house. This is the main house. So apparently about 2 years ago, he took out a $316,000 mortgage on a fully paid for house. So it was paid. Paid in the shade with pink lemonade, homeboy. Like, you got this. It's over. Free and clear. It's yours. He took out a $316,000 mortgage against the equity on the home and has apparently made like a year's worth of payments and then stopped paying. So you're looking at $317,000. You come up with this $307,000 or sayonara de casa. It's over.
Why did he take the money out if he didn't?
This is what's interesting.
That's wild.
This is what I don't understand. And like when we hung out, I didn't get into finances or anything. I don't know anything about anybody's. I don't watch people's money, you know? Like I always say, I got my own problems. So let's say you make $2 million while the sun is shining, right? You make $2 million worth of hay on YouTube. Well, YouTube takes 30%. That's right, so $2 million. That's 600,000 if my math is right.
Roughly, yeah.
600,000. You got 1.4 million. You make 1.4 million. At that point, the government, between the state and federal, they're taking about half, right? You're talking 700,000 in your pocket. Now you got Rumble deals, you got locals, you got all this stuff. So let's say free and clear, 1.2 million. Maybe let's say $1.5 million.
Okay.
You spend 600,000 on the house. Now we're down to about 900,000. Now you start paying a nanny. You start buying the $3,000 a month worth of snacks, like he says. Camelot said $20,000 a month on Coke. I don't know how much Coke is. I never paid for any drugs.
What the hell? Aaron's bringing me into this.
20,000 for 2 years. Johnny, check my math here. That's about $500,000.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you're talking about $300,000-$400,000. That might be all that's left, if that. You've also got vehicles you purchased. You got vacations you went on. You haven't been streaming for you haven't been streaming for a year consistently. You haven't had a Rumble deal for a year. You got to think this might be the end of the money train.
Oh, the money train ended a while ago. It's the end of the stash.
That's what I'm sorry. You're right. That's what I meant. Money might be gone. Now, there is the idea that, and Sam Show, I'm on the same level you are. Like, on one hand, you're like, ha, 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 but then you think there's 5 kids involved here, and that's very sad.
And that sucks, yeah.
That sucks. But I don't.
Aaron doesn't care about that. Let's be honest. I'm sorry, Aaron doesn't care about that. When I hear people, like, posturing that they're like, oh, no, this is happening, and they don't care. Sorry, you don't care. He got plenty of income from streams. Well, here's the issue, FPS Sonny. And I know this better than a lot of people. When you take time off, your money catches on fire. That's why me taking 1 week off on YouTube cripples me. Not only does it cripple you in the algorithm, it cripples you everywhere else. Because when YouTube notices your revenue is down, they just stop pushing you. It's a machine, man. It's a machine, and you got to keep the machine going. So yeah, man.
I don't think I'd be enjoying this as much as I would if I didn't think there was a solution. They're selling that other house, and it's pending, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's pending, that means they're going to close before February 5th, or at least on February 5th. Usually closing is anywhere between 45 and 60 days in Minnesota. So you could take the equity from that other house, and you're probably only going to take $350,000 to $300,000 away from it, but you can pay off that other mortgage. And yeah, you might not have any money left afterwards, but you can pay the house.
And you don't have any debt.
Right. Or you let the house go. Now, you do get the red meat. So if that house sells for $700,000, he owes $300,000, that's $400,000. You got $300,000 from the other house, that's $700,000. It'll buy you some time. I mean, $700,000 with 5 kids and a certain lifestyle, that ain't going to go very far, but it'll buy you some time to figure something out.
I don't know, man. How much is that house going to sell for?
It's worth about, I'd say, I think people were looking it up on Kiwi Farms. It's worth about $8.
Yeah, but
I don't think that's true. I feel like it's probably not worth that. But it might be, shit, I don't know, man. I don't know. In Minnesota, who wants to live in Minnesota?
what condition is it in right now? That's a part that determines a lot of this factor, too. Yeah. What state is the house in?
Yeah, nobody knows.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Nobody knows. Here's the somebody says they only have to pay $310,000. Nobody's paying $750,000. They're saying that if they only have to pay $310,000, no way somebody's paying $750,000. Well, in Minnesota, there is a law that even if you're foreclosed on, you have to get at least 82% of your home's value in the sale, and you get whatever's left over. So there is that portion of it in the state of Minnesota. So yeah, that's what I know so far. Anything I do after this is complete rumor, innuendo, speculation. That's it.
All right.
I just thought you might want to know.
It's very interesting. I am trying to figure out what to do about my own living arrangement, so this is helpful.
Do you want to buy a house?
Yeah, maybe.
Why are they so unentertaining? All right, anyways. So then there's another video that just came out of Aaron. Whew, I tell you what, man.
The real reason Nick Rekieta is in foreclosure is that his plan was foiled. And his plan was foiled by a dastardly, evil, terrible guy. And that dastardly, evil, terrible guy was me. I can say right now, because this has been bothering me since we were talking about the foreclosure on Tuesday, I am responsible for Nick Rekieta's foreclosure. And I'm busted up over it. I'm emotional over the whole thing. I'm wrought with guilt. I feel terrible. Nobody deserves this. And the fact that I've done this, it will be very difficult for me to sleep. And I can't help but think that people are going to say nasty, terrible, awful things about Nick and how stupid he is and how he doesn't pay his bills. And why would you take out a mortgage on a house that's fully paid for? You're the dumbest who ever lived. You really are just the worst human being that we've ever encountered. Like, all these things are going to be said. And I feel like even though I can't stop them from being said, I can take responsibility, and this foreclosure is all my fault. The reason it's all my fault is very simple. Nick had a plan. Nick knew, although he told nobody else knew that he was in this trouble. I'm guessing that in his life, everybody found out by the newspaper notification. He didn't tell anyone, because I didn't know. April didn't know. Nobody knew that this motherfucker was not paying his bills. So his money was smoke and mirrors. He didn't have.
That is weird. Like everything in my life is auto drafted. You know what I'm saying?
He didn't need to tell anybody. You know, like in movies or TV shows where a character is in a lot of trouble, but they don't tell anybody because they've got a plan and the plan's going to work out, and then it'll be like it never happened. You know who Nick is? This is perfect. Nick is Jerry Lundergaard in Fargo. Remember, Jerry didn't tell his wife or his kid or Wade, his wealthy father-in-law, didn't tell him about the financial problems he's having. He only alluded to it through Steve Buscemi. Because Jerry had a plan. He was, he ripped off these GMAC financing guys. He needed to pay them back. But he was going to have his wife kidnapped, and then his father-in-law pay the ransom and everything was going to be fine. So he didn't need to tell anybody about his financial problems because he had a plan. The plan all went to shit, and all of a sudden panic sets in. You don't know what to do. Nick had a plan. That's why he didn't need to tell anybody in his life about this not paying the bills stuff. He found a mark, and he was going to take his mark down. He was going to convince the mark that this was a good thing for him.
So Aaron's about to dive into why he ruined Nick's life. Reagan says this guy sounds like a slimy POS. That's his deal, man. His personality is so slimy. And I don't know for sure. I mean, I kind of feel like he is, but I don't know for sure if he's that slimy. It's just, God, he comes off as a slimy guy, right?
The mark's money and pay his bills. He was going to rob Peter to pay Paul. The mark was me. I've been thinking about this. You'll remember Nick tried to sell me that second house, the Baldo bunker, as they call it. He took us through a tour.
So this is actually a very interesting story. This is a very interesting story because this is actually a very intricate plan if you think about it from like Nick's perspective. The story is he was going to sell his extra house to Aaron and April. And then if like me thinking a little bit more intricately, he already had a plan to like try to get them divorced, and then April would get the house anyway, right? So that's what I think the plan would, like, if I'm like being a conspiracy theorist. His plan was probably to get Aaron to buy this house and then get her to take the house from him immediately after. And then April got a free house, right? That's kind of what I was thinking.
And one thing there were two things that gave me pause. I didn't think April and I were long for this world. I didn't want my kids living close to all this stuff. My kids didn't want to live there. April was out of control at this point. It was not going to work. And so I kind of obfuscated. I dragged it along. I kind of, yeah, we'll see, whatever. But when he took us through that house and I looked at all the problems it had, and I'm calculating in my head, when you go to buy a house, you're calculating in your head, how much money is it going to really cost me to buy this thing? You look for the most move-in ready house available so your total doesn't keep creeping up there. So I go through this house. It's a wreck for what they want for it. And he's all excited, and he's talking to me. Nick is selling me on this thing like it's the greatest thing for me. He's selling April on this thing like it's the greatest thing for her. And it's a common thread with Nick Rekieta that when he starts telling you about something and he's really pitching it as good for you, he's looking like, and in his mind, he believes he's being altruistic. He's being a good guy. He's not. Every time he does this, he's trying to sell you on something that he really wants that's good for him. It's, a lot of people use Breaking Bad lines when they're talking about Nick. But remember in Breaking Bad when Jesse Pinkman told Walter White, he goes, just for once, say you want this. Somebody ought to scream that to Nick, because Nick tried to sell me on this house like it was I'm giving you such a discount. And I thought about it the other day. The number he came up with specifically, remember, this house was listed on Zillow like $450. And he says to me, he goes, I'll give it to you for $350. We'll do it now. It'll be $350. And he said, we won't do realtors. We'll do.
So that's what he's basically implying there is that was the money he owed on his other mortgage. That's what he's implying right here.
FSBO will do for sale by owner. And he goes, we'll avoid all the commissions. We'll avoid all the closing costs. We'll just do it between the two of us. He goes, you can set up a trust and you can be the beneficiary of the trust and you can buy it that way. This motherfucker was trying to limit his financial liability that he would have to put into the sale that he wouldn't be able to extract out of the home because he knew he needed $307,000. So he is, now that I know about the foreclosure, it all makes sense why he was trying to convince me so hard that this was such a good thing for me.
And my theory is then, obviously they're going to get a divorce and then April gets the house. That makes a lot of sense. That's what my plan would be.
No realtors. Isn't that great, Aaron? Won't that be wonderful that there's no realtors involved? $350. I'll give you $100,000 off. I don't care how good of friends you are with somebody. I don't care if it's your parents. Nobody is leaving $100,000 in equity on the table unless there's an unspecified reason. And in this case, there was. He's in hock up to his eyeballs. And now it makes sense why he's so infuriated with me. I ruined his life. I didn't know it because I was like, he can't be mad.
See, he's claiming that him not buying that house ruined Nick's life. And I got to admit, I don't know how Nick got in this situation to where he like needed $300,000. That's something that I can't really rectify. You know what I'm saying? So that's just me.
That I divorced my wife and got out of that situation. I left, all the women for him. He gets it all. Can't be mad at me for that. I'm out of the way. Hey, the guy who lectured you on drugs told you, hey, please stop giving my wife so much cocaine and booze. Hey, please stop doing so much cocaine. It's crazy. I've sat in a bathroom with you asking you if you're going to die of a heart attack because of how many, the size rails you're ripping. It couldn't be that because that's got to be nice that the goody two-shoes is gone. The foreclosure makes it all make sense now.
Aaron's just spilling all the deets right here. Aaron's claiming that he was ripping lines, fat lines, and shoving lines in his wife's face. Brutal. Brutal.
The reason he's so upset and the reason he can't let me go is because I am at fault for his financial problems. Aaron is the man who killed the Rekieta empire in Nick's mind. The way he was pushing that house on me, the way he was pushing no realtor fees, the way he was pushing no closing costs, the way he was pushing $350 instead of $450. Buddy, friend, what a great deal I'm giving you. $100,000 up. Why? Because he knows I can jump at it right away. He can take 307 and be back to square with the house again. Hell. I mean, it dawned on me that, it's not like I had to think about it a long time, but when I got away from the show and I wasn't performing and all that, I thought about, I thought about all the conversations we had about that house. And I'm like, that mother.
To be fair, if Nick would have got Aaron to buy his house and then April and Aaron immediately get a divorce and then April gets the house, that would have been the most 40 fucking move in the world.
Dive Bar says, Aaron, we didn't know beforehand. Well, that's true. I didn't know beforehand. That's why I made that confession today that Nick losing his house, or he's not losing his house. Stop. He's not losing it. I don't mean to put that out there. He's not losing his house. He'll be fine. That's why I confessed today, is because I didn't realize until now that he was pressing me so hard to buy that house and giving me such a great discount and doing it with no realtors and no commissions is because he needed a certain amount out of that house. He knew exactly how much he needed and was trying to get it and was like pitching, April and I on what a great deal it was. And here's the other thing about that. The other part of that is this mother still would have been going behind my back and telling April that I'm terrible for trying to get them to stop doing drugs and I'm a
This is where it gets really spicy. Allison, yes, by the way.
monster. I'm a piece of shit and I'm a bad guy and this. He still would have been trying to break up my marriage behind the scenes and then coming to me and going, oh no, I'm trying to help. Sure you are, you lying sack of shit. But so he would have on one hand been trying to talk me into basically paying his mortgage. So Nick wanted me to pay his mortgage for him. That's what he wanted. Aaron, will you please pay my mortgage? And then behind the scenes, while I'm bailing him out financially, he would also go, April, he's a piece of shit. Hey, oh, he's garbage. Oh, he's shit. Oh, he's terrible. Yeah, he's telling us to not do cocaine. What an asshole, right? He came to me. That's what he did, too. I came to him because someone else told me they were like, they're drinking too much, doing too much. And I'm like, and I go and talk to Nick about it. He goes back to April. He's like, oh, yeah, he's coming to me and saying that you do too much drugs and you drink too much and blah, blah. And he'd flip that. And you find out later and you're like, you really are just an insecure sack of shit, aren't you? Just a broken man. And so, trying to get me to pay the old mortgage in the Silent Hill blood shower house. God damn. More and more, it's revealed that I got out by the skin of my teeth.
What does he mean by the Silent Hill blood shower house? That's kind of that's a new thing. Like, what does that exactly mean? Let's see what the poll is at. So the poll is at 69% of people, or 68% of people think Nick can make a comeback. I agree with that. I think that's solid. Poor Man's Gold said, did he mortgage his house to buy coke? I don't know. I don't know what happened there. If Nick could take the actual steps to legitimately do a 360 on his life, perhaps he could make a comeback. I think he'll do that. More like a 180. Do a complete 360. God, I can't believe I didn't pick up on that because I'm stupid. Mana Online says, I hate to admit it, but what Aaron is saying sounds plausible. It makes me feel deceived when Nick says he's going to figure it all out. I really hope he's going to turn it. Well, elaborate on that, Mana. What is it that you think he's saying that's plausible? I think the theory that Nick wanted Aaron to buy that house to get him in a better spot as far as financial goes, and then, squeezing him out, I think that's plausible. And the reason I think it's because Aaron is so unlikable. Why would you want him around? That's why I say that. Is Nick secure for the dynasty for the locality of the year? I don't think so. He's just not active right now. I think you have to be a little bit more active. And Nick has done a great job staying away. So right there at the beginning, Nick was like streaming and kind of doing shit, and he has completely fell off the map. I'm not saying he fell off. I'm saying he just stopped streaming and stopped being active, which I think is a good move. You know what I'm saying?